Hello, I'm 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗆, the founder and CTO of TechIDManager. This is our second live demo that we're doing, live public demo. There appear to be some technical difficulties going on, so we'll see if it's actually streaming, if it's working, if it's not working. This we're after some high value production content here. So we'll talk to my minion in the background over here and see if there's a live stream. Is there a live stream, Miss
Not
Minion?
yet. I don't think so.
And we sent out the wrong links to people. So there's somebody who wants to join this. Can you handle that, Emily? And I will start with a demo under the assumption that it is live but delayed. And if it's not, we'll figure that out. Let me check to see.
Did you want me to admit him?
Yeah, admit him and direct him to the correct place. Is the people? Yeah, there we are. We are live. Just got to click play on it. Cool. Sorry about all that, people. That's what you get when you're trying something new. So this is a live demo, public demo of TechIDManager. TechIDManager is a tool for privileged account management specifically targeted at managed service providers. We're going to start with some background and history on me and why this tool exists. And then we're going to show the tool, show it working, talk about some of the features and benefits, some of the value that it can provide to MSPs when it comes to privileged account management. All right. So I'm 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗆, CTO and founder of the company called Ruffian Software, and our product is called TechIDManager. This product came about because I worked at an MSP for 12 years. In those 12 years, I saw security go from something nobody really cared about in the early 2000s to something that was hyper focused on in the late 20 teens. Part of that, software came out to help address like all the security problems and cybersecurity things that were MSPs had to deal with. Malware, backups, virus scanning, endpoint protection, all that kind of stuff. But the MSP that I worked with, I noticed we weren't doing a very good job with privileged account management. It was completely missed, in fact. And I looked around the market in 2017, 2018, and the privileged account management problem is that when a technician at MSP accesses a client's network, domain, Azure tenant, computer, something like that, in general, they log in with one account that all the technicians use. Sometimes there's password rotation, sometimes it's manual, sometimes it's an Excel spreadsheet, sometimes in a password vault. But that doesn't give you the traceability and accountability that you really need to effectively manage an MSP and be secure from a cyber perspective. So I noticed this problem. I was like, well, I'll go find some software and fix it. As part of looking for some software to fix the privileged account management problem that MSPs face, I read all the cybersecurity guidelines. SOC, HIPAA, PCI, NIST, CMMC, SOC, Cyber Essentials, Cyber Guidelines, read them all. And when it came to account management and administrative accounts, they all kind of said the same thing. An account should belong to a person, and you should never share that account. This is the standard worldwide for DoD, for enterprise, for big companies. That's the standard. Everybody has their own account. You're not sharing accounts. It's what MSPs always tell their clients. Don't share accounts. Everybody gets their own account. That way you get traceability. You get all these other benefits and security. You know what happened. But the MSPs themselves, when their technicians access their client networks, historically, it's been one admin account. All the MSP technicians share that account. This is a big problem. A technician leaves, you have to revoke their access, you have to change all those credentials. MFA becomes a real problem because you have to then share also the MFA, which means you're doing it in some less than secure way. What's really required is a unique account for each technician. That's what I figured out by reading all cybersecurity frameworks, look at the way the MSPs work. So I went to find some software to fix this in 2017, 2018. I found Thycotic, CyberArk, BeyondTrust, Delinea, some really big packages. If you have one domain and 100,000 users, you should go buy one of those packages. They do phenomenal things. They're great. But as an MSP, where you have all these unconnected domains, all these unconnected Azure tenants, all these individual workgroup machines that are just kind of hanging out there, you need privileged account management that scales across all these different places. I couldn't find a tool like that in the market. So in 2019, I quit my job, I started Ruffian Software, and we wrote TechIDManager to specifically address the privileged account management problem for managed service providers. We do this by automating creating unique accounts for every technician everywhere they need access. This is the high level view, that's the core of it. That's how it works. That's what it does. So that's why we do it. To help MSPs do privileged account management across the wide number of places they need to make accounts for the wide number of technicians they have. We have clients from 1 technician to 150 technicians accessing from 5 to 6 networks through more than 2,000 networks. Big scalable problem. We make all these accounts, we manage them. And we use some pretty serious encryption and technology called zero visibility storage so that we can't see your credentials. We are very security focused. You'll see a lot of things in this product when you install it and try it out. It's a lot of things that are very specific about protecting your data and being aware of where your assets are and where your protected and your privileged data exists, who can see it, not just from a security theater perspective, like, oh, you're not supposed to see it, so we don't show it to you, but from an actual cryptographic perspective, so that if hackers get access to your client data that we hold or that you hold if you self-host this product, they can't read it. Only the individual technician that really should read the credentials has the cryptographic ability to decrypt them. So it's very security focused. Security is actually architected in at the most core base level so that it's as secure as possible for all the very privileged things that we are handling. All right, that's the high level overview, the talk about security, all that kind of stuff. What you're really here to see is a demo of the product, right? So let's do that. Let's show you the product, how it works, what it does. So what we have here on the screen is the technician's interface into TechIDManager. This is the tech client. Each line here is one of those places where TechIDManager has automatically made or maintains an account for me specifically as a technician. Other technicians at Martin IT Company, they see different accounts because their accounts are specific to them, the rights are specific to them, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about what all these lines are, but first, let's show you how a technician on his normal day-to-day uses one of these accounts. So what we have here is Screen Connect, fully patched and updated because that's important, because we care about security. To use these credentials, you use your remote connection tool. There's a mobile client that lets you do this when you're standing in front of a computer with some very specific field technician things. You get to the spot where you need to log in. You as a MSP technician need access to your client's networks, and you have to log in to do that. You have to log in to a UAC prompt, log into a machine. You have to authenticate against something to get something to do what it's supposed to do. You need credentials. I can see here, this is the 𝗫 domain that I'm trying to connect to via Screen Connect here, or ConnectWise Control. Bring up the tech client. There are all kinds of accounts here. If I had 2,000 clients that I had access to, I'd have 2,000 plus accounts here. Lots of ways I can search. The easiest is I'm gonna click this search button. When I click this search button over here, tech client went out on my computer. It looked at all the windows I have open. It made an intelligent guess about which ones are remote connection tools and where they are connected that I might need a credential for right now to access what I, as a technician, have open on my computer. It found this 𝗫 credential, which is actually the one I want because it works like it's supposed to work. I want to use this credential. I select it. I could copy it. I could copy the username. I could copy the password. But even easier, I'm just going to tell it to inject those credentials. Send those credentials into this remote connection tool. And the tech client's going to inject my username and inject my password that's specific to me and has rotated sometime in the last 24 hours in this window and get me logged in as whatever level of rights I should have. And you count that as unique to me. We can see here in the task manager under users, I am Martin_Black.MIT-admin. Martin is my first name. Black is my alter ego's last name. MIT stands for Martin IT. So the usernames that TechIDManager automatically makes and creates for you and all your technicians has their name in it and your company name. So it is easy to get traceability and accountability, know who did what, and know who to praise for doing something good, who to train when something goes wrong, all these things. And a forensic audit that might happen on one of your clients, the auditor can clearly see who did what. There are no cybersecurity issues, no problems. It's all unique to the single person who granted access. And we make all these accounts automatically, which is very important. It makes this a scalable product across the number of technicians and infrastructure that you have in place that we manage accounts on. So that's a real straightforward, easy use, 3-button clicks. You go from remote connection tool to logged in as an individual user. Being logged in as an individual user and knowing as a technician that the account you're using is your account. It's well protected, passwords rotates every 24 hours, that has your name on that account, has a lot of benefits. It has The obvious benefits that it meets what all the cybersecurity guidelines say. All the cybersecurity frameworks, they all say an account should belong to a person. You should never share accounts. It also has this underlying psychological benefit that you know it's you. Like everybody who looks back at that is going to know you did what you did. That levels up your thinking about what you're doing. You're not hiding behind the anonymity of a shared account that 25 people have access to. And, well, if something goes wrong, nobody will know it's me. And you're not going to put that account into a script or into some Excel file or into some configuration that gets used, because you shouldn't. You should find the proper ways to do those things, like running services as machines, things like that. Having a unique account has lots of benefits for leveling up or raising the tide of the culture of MSP technicians. So let's talk about each line. So this is the line we use, this Jeep line. This is, we have a whole smorgasbord of options of different ways you can do privileged account management inside TechIDManager. We have what we think is the ideal way to do it: individual unique accounts for each person, fully managed and available all the time. There are just-in-time accounts. There are accounts on domains, Azure tenants, local machines. There are lots of options. There's really a smorgasbord of ways we allow you to choose to do privileged account management. And we can help you talk through all these options. These icons over here on the side indicate the different types of accounts that we make and maintain. This A means it's an Azure account. This D means it's a domain account. Anywhere that domain grants you access, you can get logged in. This L means it's a local account. It's specific to this machine. This account is only valid on that machine. It's valid on the machine whether the machine is online or offline. You can set up these accounts so that they work without an internet connection, always available, so that you can get in and fix a machine who has had the internet connection broken to it, has a network card that doesn't work. You can still get logged in those situations where MSP technicians are called in to fix something that is completely broken. You can still get access with TechIDManager maintained accounts. The second column of icons here, this single head icon, indicates that this is an account specific to me. There is one person that can see this account. That's one person on this icon. It is a unique to me account. The name on this account is a local account. It is the name of the machine /martin.mit. I'm the only one who will ever know, see, or use this account, because the encryption that we use says only on the hardware on my computer can this password be decrypted. There are also this multi-headed icon here, such as this server administrator account. This means this is a shared account. Though we understand and we believe that you should stop sharing admin accounts, that every person should have a unique account everywhere that they need access, we are also realists. We realize that there are valid business cases, valid technological cases, valid licensing cases, where you as the MSP are forced to share an administrator account. Whether you're forced to do this on a local machine, whether you're forced to share an administrative account on a domain or an Azure tenant, we understand that that is sometimes fostered upon you and you can't do anything about it. So you can tell that TechIDManager to take over this account, rotate the password every 24 hours, make it as secure as possible, and protect this account. That's what this multi-headed icon here indicates. This account is shared by multiple people, and we have all kinds of logging to say who used it, who saw it, and the password on this rotates every 24 hours, whether somebody uses it or not. This third column here, where there is nothing, that means that this account is a managed account. It is available online, it's available offline, it is always enabled, always ready for somebody to use, no matter the situation or how dire it is to get connected. This icon here with the clock face and a little red X means that this is a just-in-time account that is currently disabled. And a just-in-time account is an ethereal account. It might not exist until the first time the technician needs it. So to use it, a technician clicks on it, they say enable. TechIDManager, at this point, is going to go create that account if it doesn't exist. It's going to give that account all the rights that a manager in the past said that I was allowed to have on this network, on this domain. It's going to provision that account, enable it, set all the proper stuff on it, and it's going to set a password on the account and encrypt it and send that password back so that just I can read it. That is a just-in-time account. It became usable just in time for me to use it. This account will stay enabled for a certain duration of time. By default, it's 2 hours, but you can make that longer or shorter. And when that time expires, that account will automatically be disabled. All the rights will be removed from that account. A password will be set on that account that nobody is ever told but that account stays around. It is disabled, no rights, password nobody ever knows. And we make sure it stays disabled. And we make sure it never gets re-enabled again until some technician requests to use it. In this way, that account still exists for accountability and traceability purposes, which is very important when it comes to any actual cybersecurity. You need to know what they did. And the only way you can do that is with an account that stays around but is disabled and unusable, because it traces back to the UUID, that all the log files are there, and SQL, all that kind of stuff. But then the next time this technician wants access to the same network, they'll re-enable the same account. That same account will be found, re-enabled, re-provisioned with rights, a new password is set, sent back to the technician. So you get continuity of login and access across the multiple times that a technician needs to use a just-in-time or an ethereal account on a system, which is very important. So now all that provisioning, new password setting, enabling creation of the account, that happened in under a minute. And we can see here this account is now enabled. I could go use this account to log in anywhere that this domain account that's unique to me gave me access. So we have here, to recap, a smorgasbord of options on the way you do privileged account management so that you can really customize your privileged account management specific to the processes and procedures that you and your clients have set up to do whatever cybersecurity it is needs that you have. And we can make those as secure as needed. Super good. I love it. Super effective too. We saw how easy you can just search for, find, and use the credential that you need very quickly. There's also a bunch of other things like organizing them into groups so that if you have different clients, you can organize different ways. There's searching. So if I want to find all the Hyper-V host servers we have, because I've set information on them, that's all doable. And this integration to injecting credentials works with every remote connection tool. I know I only showed it with ConnectWise Control or Screen Connect. It works with 𝗬𝗵𝗿, PC Anywhere, VSA, 𝗬𝗂𝗫, Datto, RDP. It works multiple levels deep in all of those tools also. So if you are hopping somewhere that's hopping somewhere, we inject credentials all the way to the final version of whatever it is you're trying to log into. Even UAC prompts on remote machines. The injection is pretty powerful. It does all that kind of stuff. And just because I love it, and it's one of those little minor features. If you like dark mode, we automatically support dark mode for any technicians that have dark mode. All right. That is the tech client. That is the technician's experience, how they use find accounts that are automatically created for them. So you bring a technician on board, as the manager say, all right, give them accounts. Then TechIDManager will actually go out and make all these accounts for this technician. And you define what rights they have based on some global grouping policies. Make sense? If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below or the chat, and we'll get them answered. So you might be wondering, how does all this phenomenal functionality around privileged account management work? Well, here is a little drawing, an overview drawing of how the system is laid out and what the various pieces are. We already talked about the tech client over there. It's hard to point when I'm looking. Tech client over there. The tech client is that piece we saw that ran on the technician's computers. It has built into it a public and a private RSA encryption key and asymmetric encryption key that guarantee that those credentials were only seen by that particular technician. So my credentials are actually only decryptable on the hardware on my computer and on my smartphone. Nobody else can see them. So that's the technician's very private, very well encrypted, very effective use of their unique credentials across all the places they need it. Second piece is the management console. The management console is where managers from the MSP go to determine, blah, blah, I'm getting tongue twisted, to determine who has what access and where they have it. This is not just a tool that can give somebody domain admin or global administrator or Azure tenant rights. You can actually specify the rights per technician, per place that they have. And you can use some larger policies to say, well, John, this technician, he gets level 1 rights everywhere. So he can reset people's passwords. He can see what files are there. He can do some basic file maintenance stuff. But he's not domain admin. He still has access. He's still a user. Everything he does is still traceable to him, but he's not domain admin. He's not global administrator. He's not schema admin or anything like that. But then you have other people like, say, Damien. He is the domain expert. So he gets domain admin on all the clients that want him to have access. There's also, you can do the same thing for Azure, the 200 plus rights in Azure. You can specify on a global policy or per technician, so that not everybody that needs access to the Azure tenant to do maintenance needs to be global administrator. If you're just administrating SharePoint, you can set a technician just be the SharePoint administrator of some Azure tenant, but not be global administrator, which really follows that cybersecurity principle of least privileged access. You grant somebody only the access they need to do their job. You don't grant them all the access that anybody needs to do any job. Very important. We can host this on AWS, or this entire product is self-hostable because we understand the importance of something like CMM level 2, where the asset where the privileged data sits is important. So if you want to be in charge of that asset, the computer where all the data, the hub of information is, that can be yours physically and electronically. You can put that in your closet, or you can put it in a data center, and you can be in charge of it. And we have no access at all. If you choose, we can also host this for you in AWS. When you do that, it's the same zero visibility storage I've been talking about this whole time. So though we are hosting this stuff, from a cryptographic perspective, we can't see it. You'll never see from us a study on passwords that people use, a study on how other things like that, because we can't see that information. Though we store it, we just store encrypted data we can't read. The third piece here are the agents. We do all this account creation, account management, rights setting, password rotation with an agent, because that's how technologically it has to work. We also do this without opening any routes into any of these agents. All the agents, all communication is outbound via REST API, all over HTTPS. So you don't have to set up anything specific. It just works, and it's very secure. Same protection that protects all your banking accounts, all the stuff like that. We have agents that run in domain controllers for Windows AD, making and maintaining accounts there. We have agents that run Azure AD directly in your Azure tenant to make accounts there. We have agents that run on local Windows computers to make and maintain local administrator or even like local access accounts onto Windows computers. You can mix and match these, like we talked about earlier, in any of the smorgasbord of options that you want. These agents are mainly responsible for creating the account for the technician. We automatically make these accounts. So if you have 25 technicians and you have 400 clients, that's 10,000 accounts if you want to give every person a unique account. You don't have to worry about making those accounts. TechIDManager will automatically make those accounts. And if you have been consistent if you already make unique accounts and you're a smaller client, you're having trouble scaling this unique account concept, we will automatically take over the accounts that are specific to each technician and do all the maintenance on them, set all the rights and stuff like that. So it's very easy to deploy. We set the rights specific to each technician, so you're truly least privileged. We manage each of these accounts. We keep these accounts safe. We make sure they're enabled. They have all the proper security things set on these accounts so they live and they are not taken over by someone inappropriately. And we rotate passwords for every technician, every 24 hours, everywhere, to be something different and unique between all the places they have access. So if you can imagine, you have 25 technicians and they have access to 400 different clients, it could be 1,000 different places. Anytime you see a security incident on the internet, the first response that somebody always says is change your administrative password. No matter if you have two-factor, no matter if you have like hardened firewalls, all these things, the first response is always change your passwords. Well, imagine the peace of mind you'll have knowing that whether you know an incident has happened or not, because most incidents aren't reported for 3 to 4 days afterward. Imagine the peace of mind you can have when you know that every admin password in your entire infrastructure is being rotated every 24 hours. So if it is that 2 to 3 days before you find out that somebody has been hacked or before you get that information, you already know that the primary thing they're going to tell you to do, rotate your password. We've already done 2 or 3 times. So like you're protected, hash attacks, over-the-shoulder attacks, all those things, they all get stopped just by simple password rotation on a regular basis. Everybody knows you should do it. That's what we do. And then this fourth piece, all these keys down here, we use asymmetric encryption, or a PKI, public key infrastructure, to make sure that the information, the passwords and credentials we create in the agents, they are encrypted with the public key specific to each technician. Then we only pass, and then it's forgotten. We only pass that encrypted information around, and it is only the private key on the hardware with the client on the technician's specific computer. We make a credential for me, only my computer can decrypt it. We make a technician credential for Joe, only Joe's computer can decrypt it. My computer can't. We have different keys. So in this way, we use high efficiency to make and find and use credentials automatically do all this account maintenance for you everywhere somebody needs access. We make and disable accounts automatically everywhere, and we have all this high encryption to keep you safe. All right, makes sense. So we want to talk about how a manager will define all these rights. So let's bring up the management console. In the management console, let me get logged in here. There are techs. You have all the techs defined in the system. You have agents. Agents are the places where agents are installed and they make and maintain accounts. We have all those. We saw here the 𝗫𝗏𝗏𝑜rg account I logged into earlier. Here's the agent for that. And we have rights. We have all the rights that you can assign to somebody at one of those places. We have domain rights. We have Azure rights. We have local machine rights. All different types of rights. Even custom rights that you have for AD groups you've made custom on domains or custom Azure rights. We can handle all of that. You put the technicians in groups of technicians. You put the agents in groups of agents. You put the rights in groups of rights. And then you make a triplet. A triplet connects a tech group to a right group to an agent group. Then, because the triplet exists and connects these things together, those techs get those rights on those agents. I have a little picture to help describe this and make it easier to see. So you have all your technicians. Say you have 2 technicians or 200 technicians. You make a group. We have some default policies that are very easy to apply and apply out of the box, but if you want to get more specific and more granular with who gets what rights, you can get as granular as you want. We have some clients that do it down to the individual technician level, some that do it by pods, some that do it by tiers, and some that just do it like everybody gets all rights. We're here to help, and we can discuss this with you and show you what rights you need. So you have a group of technicians. You can make a group of them. These 2 technicians, the green and the black one. You have all the agents. We're going to take these 3 agents, this blue and the orange and the green one. We have all available rights. We're going to take these 4 rights and put them in a right group. And then we're going to make this triplet that says these 2 techs get accounts created on these 3 agents, and those accounts have these 4 rights. You can do multiple groups and triplets. You can do whatever, mixing and matching of different rights from different places, and you can even have overlap. So in this particular case, we can see here this green tech is in 2 different tech groups, this green agent is in 2 different agent groups, and there's some rights here that overlap. So this green tech is actually get the sum of all the rights he should be granted based on the various triplets that he's in, the various groups he's in. This green technician's account on the green agent, whether it's a domain, a Windows machine, or an Azure tenant. Let's say it's an Azure tenant. This green technician's account on this green Azure tenant will have more rights. He'll be able to do more things than the green technician's account on the orange agent, on the orange Azure tenant. And that green technician's account on the green will have more rights than the blue technician's account on the green agent. So we truly are applying rights specific to each technician in the place that the manager said they should have access. So this is truly least privilege. You're not depending on somebody to only do what they should. You are actually only granting them rights to do what you think they're capable of doing. It is truly least privileged, and it's the way it's supposed to be, for what all the cybersecurity frameworks say. We also, in the management console, we talked about some logging, reporting. We have logs and reports that do all kinds of things, but we'll look down here and we'll look the most recently. We can see this afternoon at 1:09, 9 minutes after this demo started in Eastern time, I sent both credentials for 𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏org and used them. So I can tell I logged into I used those credentials. We can see that just after that at 1:15, I'm at 1:15 and 10 seconds, I made a just-in-time enable request for my Tacoma.net account. I made that. Here's the IP address that I made it from. We can see here, 36 seconds later, that account was enabled, and I could use that account wherever I wanted that grants me access to Tacoma.net. We can also see that I never used that account. There is no line here that says I looked at, copied, pasted, used, or was ever aware of those credentials, but I did enable it. And if I now went and used that somewhere, that would get logged here. This entire report is downloadable via CSV, and because we understand security compliance and compliance with security frameworks requires that you do attestation and proof that you've done things which requires collecting logs. You can schedule any of these reports to be emailed to you on a reoccurring basis so that you can automatically log them away in your attestation software for cybersecurity compliance. That is the management console. That's kind of how that works. You can enable and disable text. Say we have Jonathan here. Jonathan, he leaves my company. I fire him. He decides to quit, whatever. I need to remove his access. I simply come into the management console. I click change to disable. And then within 1 minute, all of Jonathan's accounts across all the infrastructure are disabled. They're disabled. All the rights are removed from the account, and a password is set on that account that is told to no one. So that account still exists in perpetuity for accounting purposes, for accounting and traceability and all those things, but he no longer has access. I can disable his access to 2,000 plus places faster than he can get from the office where he got fired to the door or to a computer to try and cause harm. That is what good privilege account management looks like. Privilege account management and access control for technicians at an MSP. All right. So let's look back at this. The last thing we're going to talk about are the agents. There are agents that run on Azure, agents that run on domain controller, domain accounts in Azure, and agents that run on local machines to make local machine accounts. We have some examples here of what that looks like. We'll cover some minor examples, just so you know what some common deployments look like. So in this example, we have all the MSP technicians over here on the right, we have a management console in the middle. On the left, we have the client network, a particular client's network. It has a domain controller, a bunch of wired computers, and 2 laptops. You want to give your technicians unique access, unique domain accounts so they can access all the wired computers and the laptops and everything that's joined to that domain. So you install one of our PM agents on the domain controller, and it's going to make 4 accounts: a blue account, an orange account, a green account, and a yellow account. And then those accounts will be available, sorted. Only the blue technician will see the blue account, the orange technician will see the orange account, the green technician will see the green account, and as you might recognize in the pattern here, the yellow technician is the only one that sees the yellow technician's account. You also have these 2 laptops that kind of float around, and they're sometimes online, sometimes not online. And for whatever reason you've chosen that you want to do a lapse style management of a single account shared between people for access to that laptop. And you want this available offline. So you can install one of our lapse agents and say, well, TechIDManager, take over this black account on this machine and this gray account on this machine. And you've chosen you want to share that local administrator account on those laptops with all the technicians. So in their tech client, you'll see that they all get access to the black account and they all get access to the gray account. In this, we have tracing and logging for all of that. So in this way, you've deployed 3 agents and you've covered 8 or so machines, have as many as you want. Deploy as many agents as you want. That's how that works. It sorts and figures it out based on who you've granted access. What? Makes accounts, manages accounts, all this stuff is all automatic. Another example. We'll look at the much more complicated, like a more complicated example, like this one here. Very similar layout from the picture we have on the far right. The technician computers at the MSP. We have the management console in the middle. We have the client's network on the left. This is a more complicated network where we have 3 domain controllers. We have a hybrid joined Azure AD tenant. We have a series of laptops and some servers that you want to grant different types of access to. So you've chosen you want to give all technicians domain accounts, and you would give them all Azure accounts. You install one of our agents in one of the domain controllers, makes unique accounts for each person. You can see that here. Azure tenant, you can either do this hybrid where the accounts are synced from the domain up to the Azure tenant, and then our agent will find the accounts in the Azure tenant and set the rights on those appropriately and manage those accounts separate or together with the domain accounts. Or you can do them unjoined in a non-hybrid mode where the accounts on the domain are unrelated to the accounts in the Azure tenant. That is the way we suggest you do it, because that gives you the flexibility if you have technicians that are domain only and they really don't know what they're doing in Azure and they should only be working on like on-prem infrastructure stuff. You can grant them accounts on the on-prem infrastructure and they don't have to have an account in Azure. And then if you have technicians that are Azure specific, they know what they're doing in Azure, that is their bread and butter. That's what they do every day, day to day. You grant them accounts in Azure and they don't have to have an on-prem instance for it. And you're also not dependent on AD Connect to sync the 2 accounts together. So that would give you access to all the domain joined machines, all the Intune joined machines, manage all those accounts, rotate every password every 24 hours. For the Azure, you'll get all that built-in MFA for all those accounts because they're internet facing. And then you have some laptops that you want to share the administrator account again on. You can do that by installing one of the Labs agents. And then you have this machine over here where you want to have, some people have a unique account on that machine, but not everybody. And for some people, you want to share the local administrator account just in case they need to get in and do something. But in general, this blue and this yellow tech, they access this machine pretty often. This is one of their main clients. They do a lot of things there, and you want them to log into this machine specifically with their own account and have everything set up for them. TechIDManager will make those accounts, manage those accounts, send them back. So you can see here the blue technician in this layout got 3 accounts, where the orange technician only got the 2 orange accounts. Same with the green, same with the yellow. Yellow got 3 because he was down here and you wanted to give him access to this machine. And then everybody, you've granted access to the shared accounts. That's not required. That just happens to be what's happening in this example. There are a bunch more examples we could go over, but in general, that's how agents are deployed. And I worked at an MSP for many, many years, so I understand the importance of being able to script these installs. You got an agent to install, you want to script it. So every option on the agents is command line settable. We provide scripts and talk you through how you can use these scripts to deploy these agents in the various ways they're deployed. So this entire setup is intended to be scripted. We do white glove installs. We love doing white glove installs. We love getting on the calls with technicians, managers, helping everybody understand what's going on, talking through any specifics about your deployments you might have questions about. And we go from nothing working to everything working in a white glove install. Usually takes about an hour and 15 minutes. We get technicians set up. We get a couple agents deployed. We go through all the options on deploying the agent. How you can set the OU that these accounts exist in domains. How you can set the domain name that the Azure agent makes the accounts with. How you can set up the local accounts being hidden from the Windows Hello screen, so the normal user on that machine doesn't see your 10 to 75 technician accounts. They only see what normally logs in their own account. We have that option. We have a lot of other options we'll cover related to how frequently the passwords rotate, when they do, when they don't, what happens if a machine is online or offline. We can cover all these questions and show you that we really do have the MSP technician and the MSP manager in mind to help them do privileged account management as efficiently as possible, where you don't have to look up something to just the tech client, from the tech client finding where it thinks you need credentials and showing them to you, letting you click one button and inject them both, to our mobile app. In our mobile app, when you go to look at a password for that you want to see on our mobile app, you can see it in 16, like little tiny font, 32 characters wide, or you can click on it and it breaks it down into 60-point font, 5 characters at a time, so that you can easily type it in. Because I have been that technician, standing in front of a computer with a sticky note with 32 character passwords on it. And 31 characters later, I'm done typing and I have to start over. I never want to put a technician in that position. Because we're using full random generated passwords everywhere, we're going to make it super easy to use. They click on it and they see 5 characters at a time in giant 60-point font. They can easily highlight their way through. And field technicians can love TechIDManager mobile app because it lets them easily find and use and navigate around with the keyboard and everything. All right. Our current pricing is always listed at techidmanager.com under TechIDManager deployment examples and pricing. If you have any questions, we would love to talk to you. You can request a more personalized demo by the requested demo up here. And if you want, under partner resources, there are installation instructions where we talk you through how to install all these pieces, how to set you up as a manager, how to install an agent on a domain controller, even a video with my beautiful face talking about it, how to install one on Azure, how to install a password rotation agent or a Labs agent. We talk you through all of it. And if you would like to set up a white glove install to just get going, on the install instructions, there's a link to scheduling some time to get connected with us and get one of our supported people or one of our installation specialists schedule an install with you. So what have we talked about today? We've talked about my history and why this product exists, some privileged account management specifics that are unique to managed service providers and why you really should be making unique accounts for every technician everywhere. We talked about the tech client and what it looks like, how efficient it is for technicians to use, how they can easily find the credential that they want, inject it, move on. 3 button clicks, you can go from 3-button clicks get you found the credential you want, get you logged in and moved on. And as a technician, it's very efficient to move through your day when you're accessing client networks. We talked about the management console, where managers go to see what's going on, to grant people access, to see activity logs, all those kind of things. And we talked about the various agents that you can deploy and some example deployments about them. There's a lot more to cover. It's a quite mature and complete product. If you have any questions, all our documentation is on our website under partner resources right at the top. The installation instructions to schedule a white glove install, how-to articles about a whole variety of topics, even some white papers if you're like me, a little more nerdy and you want to really get into the details and the geeks of how it works. And once you become a client, there is a monthly webinar called our PAMcast, where we go and talk about best practices in privileged account management for the past month, things that have changed, issues facing customers as far as privileged account management goes in the wild, and product updates and features. We are continually growing, adding based on user feedback, which we love. All right. Any questions? If so, hopefully you've put them in the comments and we can answer them. Dark mode, yes, I love dark mode. It was, I did not realize how much I would like dark mode when we put it in a couple years ago. I've never been a dark mode person, but I like it. And then we can make password rotation more frequent if somebody wants that. And yeah, I think that's all the questions I see there. If they're love to talk to you, I'm Martin White. My little minion is over there speaking on my ear when there are questions. If you have, like I said, any questions, contact us. Sales at TechIDManager.com. Support is support at TechIDManager.com. Our website, TechIDManager.com or RuffianSoftware.com. All the information is there. We try to be as transparent as possible. Everything that we have covered on the demo is there. Love to talk to you. Have a great day. And I hope you all have a really good weekend. All right? Bye now.